Today's stories include PlayStation has appointed 2 new CEOs, a deep dive into PS5 sales numbers, and a Tomb Raider TV show is on the way. We'll have all this and more because this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Yo, what's up? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Tuesday, May 14th, 2024. I'm one of your hosts, Blessing Adeoye Jr. Joining me is LaCroix Poppy, Tim Geddes.
How you doing, Bless?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah?
I've been listening to Childish Gambino's new album, Ada Vista. It's like the updated version of the album that he dropped 4 years ago. And it's been the perfect palate cleanser of just the diss tracks of the last week.
Joy. You know what I mean? I'm just happy to have some fun and talk about some shit.
Toward the end of last week, I was just feeling icky.
Yeah.
There's only so many times.
To that point. Yeah.
There's only so many times I can listen to Meet the Grams and like feel like I am like in a good vibe.
Yeah.
I'll listen to a lot of Not Like Us.
Yeah, I'm walking around saying BBL Drizzy way too much for anyone's liking.
Dude, I'm just like, I'm playing Animal Well over the weekend, and just randomly I'm like, what is it, the braids? Like just randomly.
It's definitely, it's taken over. But that's the thing, is there's so much going on right now that I feel like there's just distractions abound. Like right now, there's just so much, whether it's music coming out, movies coming out, TV shows, games, like there's just so much to do at all points. And like, it's the most overwhelming thing ever. But not to add even more things to your list of stuff, but have you watched Hacks, the HBO Max comedy series?
Not at all.
Oh, you need to. It is just such a fantastic show. Season 3 just started, I want to say. And I'm only 1 episode in. There's like 3 or 4 out already. It came up on me. It surprised me, everybody. What a damn show. What a delight. It is the perfect combination of like, wow, this is how you write a comedy show. And also, wow, this is how you write complex characters I actually care about. You combine those two things, it's just an amazing story of this washed up comedian that took up residency in Vegas, and she used to be the shit, but now, you know, she's in Vegas doing that thing. Yeah. And then a new young up-and-comer who is a comedy writer, but in this era of like everything being super woke and like you have to be introspective and stuff. And they're both hacks in their own respective rights. But when they come together, they can find beauty in each other and help each other fulfill their full potential. Okay, it's a great show.
I'll add that to the list. I'm doing this thing where I am rotating the subscription services because I just got fed up with how the prices have just been jacked up. And so I've been off of HBO Max for a while just because like I forget the last thing I watched on there. Was it like fucking Euphoria or something?
That was a long ass time ago.
There must have been something since Euphoria.
Last of Us.
Oh, Last of Us, yeah. It might have been Last of Us that I like finished that and I was like, a few months passed and I'm like, I'm not using HBO Max, and so I stopped paying for it. And then like for me, Disney Plus, I had to turn it back on I had to get my sister's Disney Plus login for X-Men, which thank God she updated the card. So now
she did.
Yeah.
Congratulations,
Oh man, it was that thing where I didn't want to be a bother. Yeah. But after a week, I texted her. I was like, you still paying for this thing? And she's like, oh yeah, just I got a new credit card number. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm not gonna push you on it because this is like a luxury for me.
Yeah.
And then I finally I was like, okay, let me just try and see if it's done yet. And it was done.
I love that you use it more than her kids do.
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah, right. Like she has 3 children, and these kids aren't watching Disney Plus all the time. Like they're not complaining about it. I'm the one that has to be like, I want to watch X-Men.
I want to watch
X-Men. Meanwhile, her children are like, yo,
dude.
Put on The Last of Us. We're watching HBO Max.
Do you still have Netflix?
No.
Now, okay.
I'm letting shit stack up because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna watch everything at once.
There was a show that came out last week last week Netflix is a joke. They're like their annual comedy festival down in LA was going on. So there's a whole bunch of different events happening. Some of them were on Netflix. Some of them were just like live events for people. A whole bunch of different types of stuff. Mike Drucker was involved. John Mulaney put out a new talk show on Netflix called Everybody's in LA or Everyone's in LA. And it is one of the most bizarre, awesome things I've ever seen. It is not for everybody. I'll tell you that right now.
Is this the one? I saw a clip going around of John Oliver as a child. Is that the same? Do you know?
Maybe. Okay. I'm only 2 episodes in. So here's the pitch of this. I'll be quick on this because I know we got to get to some video game talk. But it was 5 days live, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It was actually live on Netflix. And they just went for it. Every episode is a different topic about LA. So episode 1 was about coyotes just being in LA.
Okay.
Episode 2 is about palm trees. Are they an issue? But like every episode they bring on an expert in the field from Los Angeles, but then also comedians like Jerry Seinfeld. And like they just have John Daly.
Yeah.
And they'll just come on and it'll be like these comedians, these experts, and the comedians are not prepped at all. So they just come in and there's this like serious conversation about like, what do we do about palm trees in LA? And these comedians are like, what the fuck is going on? And then all these bits start happening and there's characters in the audience. Really hard to explain, but the best way I can put it is it's just kind of funny what we do, the live garbage truck on fire, but like real production and Los Angeles with a bunch of celebrities. So if you like the bullshit we do, I recommend giving it a shot because it's KFAF just turned the fuck up.
That reminds me, I guess not in like the crazy sense, but just I used to listen to Sawbones, which was a podcast with one of the McElroy brothers, I think Justin McElroy, who is this comedic podcaster, and then his partner who works in the medical field, and every episode was like a different medical concept. And her explaining like the serious medical, like, hey, this is the expert side of it. And then Justin just asking her good questions, and they're both cracking jokes at each other. And of course they have chemistry because they're together and all this stuff. That gives me a little bit of the vibes of that, but like more turned up.
Dude, it's honestly, it's one of those shows that I have the feeling that once it's done, it's either going to get turned into a show and get run into the ground so quickly, just because it's very hard to do things like that. We know from experience, KFAF, or it's just going to go away, and this will be just this brilliant fever dream of a week that happened. And I feel like everybody that actually sits down and watches the show is going to have this collective memory of like, wow.
Remember 15 years ago?
That thing? Because that was Netflix? Fucking cool.
One thing I do want to bring up before we get into the show proper, Kevin, if you want to bring up the tweet that I pulled up. I was saving this for you, Tim, because I saw this over the weekend. It's from Kit and Krista. They have a tweet that is one of those fun like activity tweets that get shared around. You have $15 to build your dream Switch 2 launch year lineup. How are you going to spend your money? So it gives like the 5 different rows of games, and it gives like different dollar amounts. But we start off with $15. In the $5 row, it's Smash, Mario Kart, Super Mario, like a mainline Zelda, and then a Pokemon. In the $4, it is Metroid, Animal Crossing, DK, Splatoon, and Fire Emblem. In $3, it is Luigi's Mansion, Star Fox, Kirby, Paper Mario, and Xenoblade. In the $2, it is Pikmin, Yoshi, Mario Party, Mario Sports Game, or F-Zero. And then in the $1, it is Pilot Wings, Rhythm Heaven, Punch Out, Style Savvy, and WarioWare.
I mean, dude, this sounds like a great GamesCast topic, so I'm sure at some point maybe we'll get to that or some variation of it. But I do feel like there's an easy answer here, and it's just you just roll with the big dogs, baby.
You're going quality over quantity?
Just straight up here, you go Mario, you go Zelda, you go Mario Kart. Is Mario Kart even on here? Is that
Mario
the
Kart
second
is
one?
the second one.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Yeah.
I don't make the rules.
I think it'd be I'm finding a way to get Animal Crossing in there. Like I think I'm going Mario Kart for sure. I'll go Zelda, Animal Crossing, and then you mean WarioWare. Yeah, I love WarioWare.
I stand by Animal Crossing is not a launch title. Animal Crossing is a second wind title.
Yeah, I feel you there. I think you're ultimately right, especially if like you put Mario Kart and Animal Crossing out in the same year. There's no need for that.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
So save the Animal Crossing for that second wind of people buying a second console, or they were just holding off for Animal Crossing. But then guess what? They have Mario, Zelda, and Mario Kart to play.
There you go.
Quick question for you guys. Do you guys think the next Animal Crossing does as phenomenally well as the last one did?
It all depends on a lot of strategy, timing, and luck. I think, but probably not.
I think if we're assuming that the quality is as good or better, I think it gets close. I don't know if it reaches the same number, but I do think that it is still becomes like one of the best selling games. I think it's top 2 with Mario Kart again. Now
here's something crazy that I'm just going to say right now. Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
Cross-gen.
Interesting. I could see. The only reason I don't see it is the way that Nintendo operates, which is like, hey, we want to put one major franchise out per title. If it was PlayStation or Xbox, I'd be 1000% with you. Of like, that's the move. Give it to as many people as possible. But to your point, I think Animal Crossing is a title they save for when as many Switch 2s are out there as possible. Yep. So I think we're talking year 3 or year 4, and by that point, it's like just make it for the Switch 2.
Yeah. We'll see.
Conversations to be had. We're going to have so many conversations on this episode of Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday we run you through the nerdy news you need to know about live on YouTube, Twitch, and on podcast services around the globe. If you love what we do, support us with the Kinda Funny membership on Patreon or on YouTube to get all of our shows ad-free, watch us record them live, and get a daily exclusive show. For a chance to be a part of the show, submit your thoughts and opinions as YouTube Super Chats as we go. Housekeeping for you. Today, after KFGD, you'll get GamesCast, which is us reacting to Greg Miller's worst takes. And then after that is the stream, which is the Pokemon Nuzlocke continued. If you're a Kinda Funny member, remember you can get a Gregway up today, or Gregway that'll be out today. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Carl Jacobs, Fargo Brady, and Delaney Twining. Today we're brought to you by the Kind of Funny membership, but we'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin with what is, and forever will be, the Roper Report. It's time for some news. We have 5 stories today.
Baker's dozen.
Starting with our number 1. PlayStation names Hermen Hulst and Hideaki Nishino as its new CEOs. I'm pulling from Christopher Dring at gamesindustry.biz. Hermen Hulst and Hideaki Nishino will jointly succeed Jim Ryan as the CEOs of Sony Interactive Entertainment. Hulst is CEO of the newly named Studio Business Group, which includes all of PlayStation's first-party teams, plus covers the development of PlayStation IP onto other mediums, such as TV and film. Hulst was already head of PlayStation Studios. He was previously the co-founder of Horizon and Killzone developer Guerrilla Games, which was acquired by Sony in 2005. Hideaki Nishino will lead the platform business group, which includes console hardware, technology, accessories, PlayStation Network, and third-party relations, covering major publishers and indie studios. He was already SVP of platform experiences. He's been part of the Sony business since 2006, holding numerous roles at Sony Network Entertainment, Sony Corporation, and SIE. Both leaders will report to Sony Interactive Entertainment chairman Hiroki Totoki, who has been acting CEO of the division since Jim Ryan stepped down from the role at the end of March. Totoki is also president, COO, and CFO of Sony Group Corporation. The latest changes will take effect from June 1st. Tim, it's been decided.
It's been decided, and I don't think it's too big of a surprise answer here. And I also think that just on paper, this seems like the right call. You know, this weekend I watched a phenomenal film, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and it reminded me something that I often think about, but potentially not enough, Bless, and that is apes together strong. Sometimes you need the team.
Yeah.
More people, more brains, more checks and balances can allow things to be a little bit better run. So I think having co-CEOs here with different backgrounds and different focuses, probably a good thing for a company as varied and broad as PlayStation. And them talking about specifically Studio Business Group, and this including all of PlayStation Studios when it comes to video games and its multimedia IP crossovers. They need that. They need as many eyes as possible, and they need to be able to funnel down to different levels of management and different levels of executiveship to take control over all this stuff. Now, granted, look at another team that has multiple leadership positions, and they go through a lot of issues. I'm not saying this is going to work flawlessly. Talking about Xbox, obviously, here. But I do think that it is very important that Hermen came from game dev background, and we look at the importance and role that Hermen himself has had at PlayStation over the last 5-10 years now. It's really kind of not a surprise, and I think a good thing to see him gain power here and be in the position he's in. Specifically, when you look at PlayStation, we always give them credit for what PS4 did of creating these prestige titles. We understand a PlayStation Studios game looks like X, Y, and Z. They turned the Killzone company into one of those XYZ companies of Horizon. They can make Horizon. And then on top of that, the Decima engine, hey, we got Kojima. We want him to make a game for us. Oh, we got an engine that's going to allow that to happen on our tech. And then it just happened, which is pretty damn impressive. Those two things alone, I think, are worth highlighting, let alone all of the other things. So just from the Hermen perspective, I think this is great.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you, right? Like, I think you want somebody who's been in the trenches. You know, Hermen was working at Guerrilla and was able to rise and then become head of the SIE, the Worldwide Studio, or PlayStation Studios, and then now, hitting that CEO role. I think having somebody that is that has had more visibility on what the actual studios are doing, like been in there on the ground floor, like working with these studios, being able to foster it. You mentioned going from Killzone to Guerrilla or Killzone to Horizon, and like that is, I think, emblematic of what you want to see modern PlayStation be, right? You want to be able to look at studios and go, hey, how do we allow you to become your best self? How do we allow you to shine? And so I think that's a good call. We talk about 2 CEOs versus 1 CEO, which is fascinating. I think a big part of that too is probably just the size of PlayStation. You know, PlayStation's not the same PlayStation that was in 20 years ago or even 10 years ago, right? Like, The video game business has grown so much within the last however many decades. And I think you fast forward to now and you probably look around and you go, hey, we need multiple people in charge. We need to treat these as separate but same entities in order to divide and conquer. We want to see PlayStation Studios and the I guess like almost like the IP team is seemingly is what Hulst is heading up here, right? You want to see those IPs treated in the best way, and I think Hulst, as we've seen his journey, has like kind of been propped up as like the best guy to do that. And then on the other side, right, like you want somebody who is like internal from the business side, has been here for a long time. Like I don't know much about Hideaki Nishino, but it is a name that I know I've read a million times as we read through the business of PlayStation. And having somebody that is, all right, now you focus on the platform, you focus on PlayStation Network, you focus on the hardware, you focus on developing PS6, whatever like the big hardware platform stuff is, you be in charge of that. I think that's a good way to divide and conquer. The big thing I'm very fascinated about is how does PlayStation change from here? It's hard to know, right? Because it is such a big organization, and like we don't know. Like there have been quotes from both Hideaki Nishino and Hermen Hulst talking about, hey, yeah, happy to head this up, happy to be part of the building the future of PlayStation, but we don't know like those details. None of the quotes have been, hey, and this is our plan. We're gonna do away with live service and do this and do that. I'm curious on if we ever get those statements. And
it takes time. I mean, when we look at every generation, when we look at every kind of shift that has had to happen, it's like when new leadership comes in, or even just when leadership kind of shifts around it all, like, and there is kind of the focus change that happens within the company. That is, even if they put out the statements of here's what we want to do, then it takes years to see, okay, well, what actually ended up happening from it, and did that work? How much does that even need to shift? And it's very interesting now to look at where PlayStation 5 is specifically, and we've talked about this a million times, but we have never been in a place with PlayStation, so not never, it's been a very long time since we've been in a place with PlayStation that we don't know what's next, like at all. Like we're more hazy on the future of PlayStation titles than we've been since before like Spider-Man and God of War 1 and all that thing, those games were announced. Because
I feel like this is like the most hazy it's been since like PS3.
Totally. Yeah, because I feel like maybe since I think it was like a little after that, because I feel like there was that around Bloodborne coming out, like in the early PS5 era, where like there were still a lot of questions of like, we know the games are coming, but we don't know what they are. And I feel like that's where we're at again. And what's crazy about that is riding from the PS4 all the way to 5, like with the launch of PS5, we got the announcement of here's the launch games, but then we also got the tease of a couple like upcoming games, like the Ragnarok and over the years, Forbidden West from Horizon and the sequels, essentially, Spider-Man 2, Wolverine even. But there was that transition period of we knew we had Ghost. We knew we had Last of Us 2 coming on PlayStation 4 still. So there was like this constant barrage of major titles either coming out, being announced, and like this cycle of like new games being announced, new games being shown off, new games being previewed, new games being reviewed. And like there was overlap with all of it. Where we're at right now is kind of back to that Bloodborne 2015 era of just like, we know the teams are working, but on what?
See, I want to talk about this. I'm going to hit you with a question, then I'm going to read story number 2, because story number 2 is talking about the PlayStation 5 sales and all this. But to your point of us being in that almost 2014 place of, like, the games are hidden right now. Like, okay, 2015 looks like it's about to be promising, but there was this level of haze and mystery to it. We eventually got there, right? When 2015 came, we got Bloodborne. 2016, we got Uncharted 4. And then from there on, it felt like, 2017, Horizon. 2018, God of War and Spider-Man. 2019, Days Gone, and like more games, right? Like it started to pick up right now in comparison to the PS4 era. The PS5 era is way past like 2014 in terms of lifespan. And so my question to you is, what does the rest of the PS5 era look like to you? Because
that's such a great question.
I'm getting to the point with it, and this isn't coming from like a place of anger or like gamer rage or like asking for things, right? But it's more so, it's the PS. Have we pretty much seen the best the PS5 has to offer in terms of the first party release slate? Because Death Stranding 2 is going to come probably next year. I know there are more games. Like, what are the other
about
games
to get
announced?
to the Horsemen? The 4 Horsemen of the PS5?
Because like what?
I don't think so. I don't think the answer is yes.
Because where I'm at right now is like, man, the PlayStation 6 launch era is gonna be fucking sick because games just take a long time to make right now. And so we talked about Death Stranding 2. The next Kojima game that he talked about, the Metal Gear Solid like game, that's a PlayStation 6 game for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
The next Astrobot, that's PS5, I imagine.
I mean, potentially this year, right?
Yeah, potentially this year. Like, Wolverine, I imagine, is PS5.
Yes. And that's the thing is, I think that I think we have a lot left in the tank with PS5, actually. Like, I think that we have another wave of games. I think it's way too early to talk about the 6, even though you're right. Games take longer and longer to make.
I mean, if we're going by it, every 7 years we get a new console, we're past the halfway point, right? We're in year 4. We know the rest of this year we're not getting any major IP PlayStation games.
Yeah,
so that leaves 2 years left.
But I feel like the HD consoles, which isn't the accurate term to use, but like non-Nintendo, like the Xbox and PlayStation, the way that they function, and specifically PlayStation, just focusing on them, they, in this new era, they're strong. Actually, I take it back. Every era, their strongest titles come out at the end.
Yeah.
Like they build the momentum up to, like, God of War came out, or God of War 2 on PS2, and it was like a swan song game, right? Last of Us 2, PS4 swan song game. Like, I feel like we're going to be getting a barrage of hits leading up to the end of the PS5 and transition into 6, just like we saw with PS4 and I imagine, and I mean even PS3 with Last of Us 1, right? Like,
I think the difference with the PS4 is that I do think PS4 picked up at the time that we're at right now with the PS5. Whereas I think the way that development timelines have shifted, have gotten longer and stuff. Like,
PS5 started at a peak.
PS5 started very strong, and now we are at the like I guess people put out the games, they had the games ready, and now we're just waiting on more games to be ready.
But
it's
I think that the lull is going to take place instead of where it did at the PS4 in the beginning. I think it's just going to be in the middle, and we're just in it right now. And like, lull doesn't mean nothing, right? We just got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, like, and I know that's not a Sony exclusive, but like, they made deals with that for it to act,
like,
as
you know,
it.
I saw, there's been a big conversation of like, where are all the PlayStation games? And to your point, we got Rise of the Ronin, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Helldivers 2 in like already this year.
Yeah,
I'm not saying there's definitely like no games coming out, but I'm talking about like the big, like the first party stuff especially.
But they straight up said it's not happening.
Yeah,
like that's the thing is they've communicated it and they've let us know. And like is that unfortunate to somebody that loves those games more than most games? Yeah, it is. But also, I have the patience and understanding that these games are huge and take so much time, and I'd rather get them right.
My question on top of that then is, do you think that needs to change? Like, do you think that is a strategy that Hermen and Hideaki and the PlayStation team, I guess it would be more so on Hermen's team, they talk to each other and go, yeah, we can't let a slope like that happen again, where there is like this 1 to 2 year drought of PlayStation first party stuff?
No, because here's the thing. Again, it comes from a place of me being selfish and wanting those things. So, of course, I'm like, this can't happen again. But the reality is this isn't a problem at all. Like, we're about to talk about hardware sales. So we're about to talk about all that stuff. It's like, things are working. They're not working at the utmost capabilities of them or whatever. But, like, that's business as a whole. There's a lot of decisions being made. There's a lot of chasing money and, like, live service and stuff like that. That is obviously clearly a very big problem. Teams getting laid off, all the shit. Those are all issues. And how much money has to go into making these games as big as they are and all that stuff. Yes, there's problems there, but there's also results there, and these games are fantastic. So I don't want to stop seeing those games, Yeah. And I feel like, could they be smaller in some ways? Absolutely. We can say whatever we want, but like, it's the fact of the matter is we've seen so many people over the years, and ourselves included in a lot of ways, say, was that meme that's like, I want to play shorter games with worse graphics and all that stuff, and I'm not kidding and all that stuff. And it's like, that's a cute thing to say, but there's just the reality to it of when we get those products, we criticize them even harder. Or not even harder, but like, we criticize them because there's a lot to criticize, and then that drowns out the like adoration that we have for it and the spectacle of it all. There's a balance somewhere in the middle, but I don't think the top tier big games need to go away or are gonna go away to solve all those problems. But
I think there's a way to your conversation because I'm with you, but then I'm also not with you in terms of the scope and budget of these games. Because again, we see the numbers of how much it costs to make a lot of these games, and it feels like we're seeing the industry buckle under the weight of that. Like, we're getting these gigantic games that are taking 7 years to make or whatever it is, right? And they come out and it is, all right, cool, now we're going to shut down your studio. Now we're going to shut down the team because this shit is way too expensive. I think that is I would rather see hey, let's make smaller games. Hey, let's be smart about the way we approach this development. Let's make sure we have a healthy lifestyle for our devs. And if we're not able to make a 80-hour Final Fantasy, if we have to make a 30-hour Final Fantasy instead, for me, I do prefer that. And like, I think that doesn't have to be a thing that's criticized if you approach it well. Like, I don't think anybody is here looking at Animal Well going, oh, this game's too small. This game's too indie. This game's too... Like, Animal Well right now...
I think there's a lot of people saying that
about
this game's too indie. Yeah. Like,
no.
I mean, I think again,
then those people shouldn't have an opinion.
Well,
like that's a bad opinion.
I mean, well, sorry, I'm coming at this from the place of people are going to look at that game and be like, I'm not playing that game. It's not for me.
Sure. I mean, that's any game, though.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. But I'm like, and the reason is, it's too indie. Like, that is not an aesthetic. That is not something that interests them. So I just feel like when we're talking these absolutes of groups, like, anytime you use any all, it's like, this is an impossible conversation. Yeah. So it's
I guess
we agree about everything we're saying, by the way. Like, I want to clarify,
I guess, because you're talking about, like, Animal World being a very specific thing. And I'm not saying that Animal World is a game that is for everybody, that everybody should play. But I do think, in terms of something being indie, I don't think an indie game is something that like people look at and they're not like, that's not for me. Like you look at the success of something like Hades, you look at something like Stray, you look at like I feel like you look at Rocket League. There's so many indie games that do speak to that wide audience that aren't the biggest scope things, but they are seeing the revenue. I mean, you look at the top of the beginning of this year that led off with Power World being the big thing, right? And also, I mean, Helldivers 2, which I guess Helldivers 2 is a weird one, so you can take it or leave it. But like, I feel like Manor Lords as well being another one that we're seeing these breakout successes that are being made by smaller teams that seemingly have a healthier approach to it. Balatro being another example.
I guess my take on this is, yes, you're right. There are examples of smaller teams making games that make a lot of money and the games are great and everyone's happy. There's also examples of giant games that's all true of as well. And then there's a shit ton of examples on both sides of that not being the case.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that I don't think that you look at the big games and like, they're a problem. It's they're a problem with most of the big games.
I guess that's my thing.
But I just don't think that like that the industry should see these games not exist anymore.
That's not my argument either. Yeah, I'm not definitely saying that like no game should be 100 hours long because I'm a Persona sicko and I've played Persona 5 like multiple times, right? And Barrett's played it 5 times. I think there's space for any game to exist. I guess my thing is I don't like the rush for every game needing to be a prestige game. And I feel like PlayStation right now has been in this place where, hey, since PS4, we got to make these big prestige, big budget games that are going to like sit as the best of that the industry has to offer. And I guess I look at that and I go, yeah, but is that sustainable? And when I look at the numbers, I go, that's not sustainable, right? And like,
what is that?
We see the layouts, we see but I do think that what is maybe going, all right, let's have some studios work on these big, like the studios that should be making them. Let's have them make them. But can we look at a lot of our other studios and go, hey, you don't need to make a Last of Us. Like, let's see if we can scope better for you because now we're in a place where we don't have any first party games coming out.
See, the problem there though is like they're doing just that, but instead of them being like, hey, make whatever you want, they're like, hey, make a live service game that is going to make a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
And like that to me is the problem. It's not like, oh man, every team is being forced to make these prestige games. It's, oh man, instead of when they're not making the prestige games, make something like a Pentiment or something like that, or Hi-Fi Rush. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
But instead it's like, oh no, make a Concord.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess for me, that's just like, that's a bad call. But
it is.
Yeah.
Totally.
Let's get into story number 2, because let's bring in some more numbers into it. Story number 2, PS5 hits 59 million as Helldivers 2 breaks PlayStation's launch sales record. This is Andy Robinson at Video Games Chronicle. Sony says its live service game hit Helldivers 2 is now PlayStation's fastest selling game launch ever, with sales far exceeding expectations at 12 million copies sold across PC and PS5 in its first 12 weeks. The sales mean that the title, which was launched earlier this year, beat the 11 million copies in 10 weeks achieved by God of War Ragnarok last year, it said. In the company's financial results for the year ended March 31st, 2024, Sony's gaming division reported another record year in terms of revenue, despite PS5 hardware sales falling short of its original 12-month target by over 4 million units. Sony shipped some 20.8 million PlayStation 5 consoles during the fiscal year for a life-to-date total of 59.3 million. Its original lofty sales target for the year was 25 million units, but this was revised down to 21 million in February. This means that PS5 is virtually in line with where PS4 was during the same period of its lifespan, 60 million units shipped. Sales increased 17% year on year to 4.26 trillion yen, which the company attributed to an increase in sales of non-first party titles, including add-on content and the impact of foreign exchange rates. During a web call, the company also specifically highlighted the performance of Helldivers 2. Sony reiterated it expects gaming sales to decrease in its current fiscal year, ending March 2025, due to an expected decrease in sales of hardware, now forecast at 18 million units. The company previously confirmed it's planning no major existing franchise titles during this 12-month period. However, the company reiterated its plans to release Concord, the new online shooter IP from UK-based Firesprite, sometime this year. A couple more things to add to that. Matt Piscatella had a tweet talking about lots of chatter on PS5 sales today. In the US, through each platform's 41st month in the market, March 2024 for PS5, PS5 unit sales are trending 7% ahead of PS4 and 66% ahead of PS3. It is likely that 2023 was the peak PS5, or it was PS5's peak year in the US. And then on top of that, I have another tweet coming from Tom Warren from The Verge, who tweets out a video from Hiroki Tsutoki talking about a bit of PlayStation strategy in the like year-end financial thing. We don't need to play the video. I just want to talk about the quote where he says, "In the past, we wanted to popularize console, but there is a synergy to it. So if you have strong first-party content, not only with our console, but also other platforms like computers, first party can be grown with multi-platforms, and that can help operating profit to improve." Yeah.
I mean, let's just talk about this for a second, all right? Xbox been building it for years. The holy shit, everything's gonna fucking die conversation we had a couple months ago when Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves were going multi-plat.
Yeah.
We have Square Enix yesterday saying, hey, we're focusing on everywhere because that's the strategy that needs to work. Fantastic news for everybody here, right? Like, this is them just being like, look, the way we're making games is not working. We need to change it. We need to find the money. Where is the money? In other places.
Yeah.
It's just putting the thing you're working on in other places to allow people to buy it. Does that come with a range of issues? Absolutely. Like, it's going to come with even more broken games running better on one system than another and all that shit. I fucking hate that. I really hate that.
But it happens.
But
like, there's no getting around that.
I would much rather video games exist and a healthier industry. So all of that, very interesting to me. And I think it's good that we have so many of the market leaders now, like, flirting, if not just straight up diving into that type of thought process.
Do you think we're moving toward a place where PlayStation games, as like the regular standard, are going to come out day and date on PC?
No, the day and date part of it, I just feel like there is such hesitancy to. And it's because of things like looking at these numbers of them talking about PS5 consoles, which, by the way, how could the numbers be this good and the stats be this high and the charts going up and everything? And we still are talking about, man, the industry's in a bad place and these games aren't working and stuff. What the fuck are we talking about? Had its peak year last year.
Yeah, but like, the people at the top are making enough money. Yeah, get those numbers up.
You're right.
We're making more money, but we can make more money.
Yeah, it's just like, God, what a fucking disaster that is. But yeah, I don't know about day and date. And I do think that would be a great idea and plan. It would probably make a lot of money for them.
Yeah.
I am not totally convinced it actually makes them more money at the end of the day, though. There's a lot of smart people over there that understand what they're doing. Console sales are a huge thing. And I feel like PlayStation, at this point, are the ones most invested in their console ecosystem of the console mattering.
Yeah.
And besides Nintendo, but Nintendo going Nintendo, you know what I mean?
Nintendo going Nintendo. And I think Nintendo is, in this whole conversation, I'm of the mind that we are less than 2 years away from seeing a PlayStation Studios logo on an Xbox. And I think that'll probably be something like Helldivers 2 or maybe a Concord or something like that coming to Xbox sometime after the release of PlayStation. But even that alone is crazy. And I think it is opening the door to just more stuff like that. Hey, if you can do it with Helldivers 2 and you see the numbers and you see a response to it, what if we went back and ported God of War Ragnarok to Xbox? What if we went back and ported Spider-Man 2 to Xbox? Like, what if we, like, they're already doing it with PC, right? But then I think to the day and date thing, I think PC, for sure with the multiplayer stuff, they're going to do that. I think based off of Helldivers 2 and the success of Helldivers 2, it worked. Fastest selling PlayStation game.
It was a fucking success.
It was an instrumental aspect to Helldivers 2 success. The fact that it launched on PC day and date. So I think you see them adopt that strategy and go, hey, we need to do this with Concord. Any first party multiplayer thing, if it's not already like being in development for PC, we are getting it developed for PC and we're going to try and launch it as close as possible. So I think there's that. I'm so fascinated about things like Wolverine or things like Death Stranding 2 or things like Spider-Man 3 when we get there, how close do we launch those to PC? Because I could see an argument for day and date. I'm with you that then changes a lot of PlayStation strategy in terms of selling that hardware. But like, if not day and date, I'm thinking 6 months. Like, I'm thinking soon.
I don't know, man. I feel like so far their strategy's been pretty much working with it. So I don't know why they would necessarily change it for the big single player stuff, because like so far they haven't had a dud when it comes to PlayStation putting out their giant first party titles. Like, maybe they didn't make as much money as they wanted to, but it's not like they're putting things out and it's not working.
Yeah,
you know,
but it can work better.
Yeah, but I don't know, because I think it's a chicken and the egg thing of they need to sell these consoles, because the reason that this works is because people buy the consoles to play these exclusives and play these games. That is only true right now. Okay. It's so hard. Poor Nintendo. It's like we just say like, well, obviously
Nintendo is the only
they're
one.
Just winning. We just don't need to talk about them because they're just doing their own thing.
I look down the barrel of the future, and in 10 years, PlayStation, Xbox, fuck it, Steam. Like, everybody's launching on each other day and day. Everybody's putting their games everywhere, except for Nintendo, who is like, you're only gonna play a Mario on our thing until we die. Like 100 years from now, Mario will only be on Nintendo.
Yeah, but PlayStation so far is the last remaining of the big ones out there that it's like, no. Our console actually fucking matters. Whereas Xbox is like, play anywhere. Hey, we just want you to play the games. PlayStation's like, no, motherfuckers, we got God of War.
Yeah. But I think the thing that's going to make PlayStation change, and we're seeing this in the numbers already, and I'm so curious on how the tides turn. I think if it is, hey, the only way that we can still make God of War Ragnarok level games is if we put it on either Xbox or launch it day and date on PC.
Yeah.
Like, we need to make that money off of that same software. Like, we need these games to pay for themselves. Otherwise, we can't do this. Especially if these multiplayer, if the Concord doesn't hit, or if like any of these live services. Because I think the whole point of these live services games is to fund God of War and fund Horizon. Like, you want those to feed back into the rest of your development, so you don't have as much pressure for a Spider-Man 2 to recoup all the costs from development and IP licensing and all this.
I think we're further from that than most of the other things you're talking about. Mm-hmm. I feel like the games, like things like Helldivers coming to Xbox, I think those conversations have been expedited in recent times, and I think that the concept of the big single player type games coming day and date, I have the feeling that is now further out than I would have even thought last year, just based on the strategy and just based on like what it seems like they're building to and everything. But it's very, very fascinating. And I wasn't here yesterday to talk about the Square Enix news.
Yeah.
Just real quick, I just want to say I am so endlessly fascinated by what this is actually going to result in terms of Nintendo, because Nintendo Switch 2, like the way that they're talking is like, we want all of our big, now they have their HD games that they're talking about. We want our HD games on as many consoles as possible. And they named them of being PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo.
Yeah.
And it's like a lot of questions on what the power that's going to be. I highly doubt it's going to be anywhere near the scale of a PS5 or Xbox Series X and stuff. So what does that all look like? My question is, what happens to Square? Because so much of what they've done has been exclusive games on Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
So like, whoa, I feel like more than anything, this is going to, like, where everyone's talking about, oh, this is going to affect the like Xbox players get to play
the Final Fantasy 17.
The Final Fantasy games. I'm like, this is going to affect Nintendo gamers more than anybody, man.
Yeah. I'm very curious about it. And also, to your point, is Final Fantasy 17 going to be playable on Switch 2? Like, how does that go?
Is hopefully. Freaking like I can't even name one of them, but bless, give me a name. Give me any random name of one
Everyday Daylight, Deal Field Chronicle.
Is that just going to come to PlayStation, Xbox? I mean, they're saying they're going to limit and focus on quality. I don't know, but so much to talk.
So much to talk about. And we also have a lot of super chats to talk about. You guys have been going crazy in the super chats. But before we do that, I want to send you guys to patreon.com/kindafunny and youtube.com/kindafunnygames, because we have the Kinda Funny membership, which allows you to get shows ad-free. And speaking of ads, let us tell you about our sponsors.
What's up, everybody? I'm Greg Miller with a Kinda Funny programming update for you. From now on, the GameScast is going to be on Friday, and Monday, and Tuesday, and Wednesday, and Thursday. That's right. We're making the Kinda Funny GamesCast live and daily. Why? Well, as you already know, 2024 is about doubling down on what we do best, our core content. So we've discovered that there are more than enough previews, reviews, and big topics that we're leaving on the table. And that means making the GamesCast daily makes a better product for you and us. So from now on, Monday through Friday, you're getting Kinda Funny Games Daily at 10 a.m., the Kinda Funny Gamescast at 11 a.m., and the Kinda Funny Games stream live at noon on Twitch and YouTube. That's 10 hours of game talk shows coming straight to you every single week, and that's not including Game Showdown every Friday. What does that mean for PS I Love You, XOXO, and XCast? It means we're gonna be sunsetting them, but know that those conversations are carrying over to Gamescast. Bless and I are still gonna talk about PlayStation. Mike and Paris are still gonna talk about Xbox. The casts of these daily shows are dictated by who's the best fit for the topic at hand. But we've known it and we've seen you saying it. PS I Love You, XOXO, and the XCast have kind of felt like Gamescast, just in a different podcast feed. So, we're focusing on the conversations that are relevant and interesting and ditching being tied to a specific ecosystem so we can make a consistently better podcast that serves you. And in the spirit of doubling down on what works, we'll be streamlining our YouTube channels. Kinda Funny is moving all of its future shows to Kinda Funny Games. No more jumping between both channels for screencast, Kinda Funny podcast, or in review. It all lives on Kinda Funny Games. What happens to the Kinda Funny YouTube channel? We're making it Kinda Funny Highlights. Daily breakouts from our many talk shows to help you share and watch shorter segments. Because you know more than anyone how many great discussions we have in an episode that become buried in an hour-long podcast. So this allows us to give those discussions a way to shine. So to reiterate, you're getting more Kinda Funny Games content than ever with more varied discussions, a streamlined YouTube channel, and a highlight channel to help you watch the moments you're most interested in. That's a lot for an independent 11-person operation, but your support and feedback mean everything to us and help us set Kinda Funny up to have an incredible 10-year anniversary next year. And a special thank you for supporting us with the Kinda Funny membership. Members get ad-free recording and audio of our content, the ability to watch us record the afternoon podcast live as we record them, and the exclusive multimedia experience Gregway, my daily vlog series. Hey! What on a drive, you piece of... Thank you, and as always, it's been my pleasure to serve you.
And we're back with some super chats for you. Garrett Redden writes in and says, I think the change will be that they will announce the games with it being clear PC is coming in X amount of time and have a standard 12 to 18 months as part of their release date reveals.
I don't think that there's a chance they ever do that. I feel like you don't hint at somebody like, hey, you can actually, it's coming out this day, but you could wait if you want.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what you don't want to do. You don't want
works.
people to wait to buy the thing. You want to push as many people day one as possible.
Yeah.
And then maybe wait like 6 months later, then announce that, hey, it's coming to PC, and get as many people as possible to get to that thing too.
And on top of that, like, I'm not saying that this is a good thing. I'm just saying it's reality. PlayStation is uniquely weird in omitting pertinent information from its showcase trailers. And they do it almost every single time, where it's like they'll drop a trailer and it won't have the release date, but then seconds later they'll drop the release date on Twitter, and it boggles all of our minds. I don't know why they do it, but clearly somebody's making decisions to do it. Like, there's not an oversight. There's no way that the amount of people involved in watching those PlayStation showcases looks at that and doesn't go, hey, it's missing this
Don't put the date on it.
Yeah, like there's no fucking way, unless there's a reason.
Yeah.
So I feel like that reason, don't think is a good one, but I'm sure it results in things like, they'll never tell you that the PC version is coming unless it's the same exact time, or if it was like some type of reasonable way that it is clear that it wouldn't like take away.
It was like the PC
sales.
version was like 2 weeks later or something. It was supposed to be part of the original launch. Nightlife writes in and says, the echo of COVID projects continued, but none. I don't think they finished the thing. They just said projects continued, but none. Yeah, I mean, COVID had a big impact on development, right? And like that could be a huge part of why we're not seeing games at the or not seeing as many like first-party developed games come from PlayStation. I'm sure there's a million.
It still
factors
does, man. I mean, like when you just think about the ramifications, like let's just only talk about one part of this whole disaster.
Yeah,
where the whole work from home and then not work from home, and then the disasters of everyone trying to figure out you got to come in the office, you don't got to come in the office. That all those rules changing. Just all the dealing with the politics of that alone has probably slowed down the development of countless games.
Oh, yeah.
And like, I'm not saying one person's right, one person's wrong. I'm just saying there's enough bullshit and just like people wasting their times on nonsense instead of like doing the thing that they're supposed to do. Just if people are like, yo, I want to work from home and do this shit and it's working, just let them fucking do it. But instead, people need to justify all this other shit and it becomes a problem. Or people work from home taking advantage, leaking shit and causing major fucking problems. That's an issue too. Here we are years later still dealing with this, and it's never going to end. This is just our forever now.
This gonna be forever.
It's gonna be forever.
Remember, what was that? Charlie after Dennis?
No.
No? Oh wait, it's like a classic YouTube video. It's like one of those like OG.
Oh wait, no, hold on, you're mixing things up.
No, not Charlie.
Bit my finger.
Charlie bit my finger.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Wait, was that the same thing? Am I thinking of David after Dennis?
David after the
David
dentist.
after
Yeah,
Dennis.
Okay.
Charlie after Dennis.
You're just fucking
Sorry,
multiverse in this.
those two videos occupy the same exact
I
place
love
in my
that.
brain.
I love that.
Is this gonna be forever? We got another one from Tricky Capu writes in and says, if Sony were to bring back some of their smaller, cheaper franchises, what would you like to see? I need Ape Escape. I mean, I'm a broken record with this, but every time I'll say Dark Cloud. Dark Cloud fits so well in what gamers want today. It is roguelike dungeon crawling and town building.
Give it to him. Give Bless
it to
Dark
me.
Cloud. I've gotten so many of my things over the years. You deserve something.
Please. Like Cult of the Lamb worked. You can make Dark Cloud work. It's the same exact kind of game. And then Street Shadow says, Nishino is a great choice. There's so much included in platform, hardware, UIs, dev/pub tools, SDK. Nishino has a more public persona. He was in the Travis Scott Nike Dunk ads. Really? A few years back.
Cool.
Really?
Why not?
I never knew that. That's enough with the super chats. Let's get back.
Super chat.
Into story number 3, Amazon confirms Tomb Raider series for Prime Video with Phoebe Waller-Bridge as writer and executive producer. This is Wesley Yin-Poole at IGN. Amazon has confirmed its Tomb Raider live action series for Prime Video with Fleabag star Phoebe Waller-Bridge in place as writer and executive producer. The series is based on the long-running Tomb Raider video game franchise, which follows the adventures of world-famous archaeologist and adventurer Lara Croft. Amazon, which is producing the show alongside Embracer-owned Tomb Raider developer Crystal Dynamics, said Tomb Raider will premiere exclusively on Prime Video in more than 240 countries and territories worldwide, but it failed to mention a release window or who would play Lara Croft. Quote, if I could tell my teenage self this is happening, I think she'd explode, Phoebe Waller-Bridge said. Quote, Tomb Raider has been a huge part of my life, and I feel incredibly privileged to be bringing it to television with such passionate collaborators. Lara Croft means a lot to me, as she does to many, and I can't wait to go on this adventure, bats and all, end quote. Waller-Bridge is no stranger to the action-adventure genre thanks to scripting James Bond film No Time to Die, and more recently starring in Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. But she revealed her appreciation for the Tomb Raider franchise dates back even further. Quote, my parents were very smart because they didn't actually limit me, she recalled, of playing Tomb Raider. Quote, they could sense that I was going to just game myself into the ground, and I did. I packed the PlayStation away, and I was like, I've got to not do that because I've got to write and read and do other stuff, end quote. I feel that.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge
Yeah.
wrote James Bond No Time to Die?
I'm glad you're surprised by that, too, because I was like, wait, first of all, you write and you wrote a James Bond movie? That's insane.
What? That's so... I did not know that. Good for her.
Yeah.
Incredible
Did she
stuff.
write Fleabag as well, or did she just star in it?
I don't know. I never saw Fleabag.
I believe she wrote it.
Because
and
Fleabag was real good.
Tim, you gotta watch Fleabag.
Yeah.
It's
Have you not seen
real good.
Fleabag?
No.
Oh, you would dig Fleabag.
Yeah?
It's really good. And it's like short, too.
Ooh, I like that.
And it's got my guy Moriarty from Sherlock in it. I like that guy.
Yeah.
I can never remember his name,
Yeah.
but every time I see him in a show, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a banger.
This is the guy?
He shows up and he's always the best part of all the shows that he's in.
This is cool news. You know, whatever. Nothing too crazy. The upfronts are having right now.
Andrew
where
Scott, thank you, chat.
all the big streamers come out and kind of like hype up their it's kind of their E3 essentially, but it's really even more for industry people than the gaming side of things are. But yeah, Amazon's been announcing a bunch of shit, updating a bunch of stuff. We got announcement of The Boys season 5,
Yeah.
which is exciting. A couple
Wait,
other things.
what's the next season of The Boys? Is
Season
that-
4 coming
Okay.
next month, but season 5
We
they announced
already on
season.
season 4?
Oh
Holy
yeah.
cow.
Yeah, they announced that. And then they also announced that Nicolas Cage is going to star in Noir, the
Yep.
Spider-Man Noir live-action series. Hell, yes. Prepare yourselves. And then, yeah, this, which, cool. You know, we just keep seeing this happening, and I keep saying it, but I have more than not really enjoyed all these video game adaptations. So, another Tomb Raider, take 3.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Does this do better or worse than Fallout, do you think?
Worse.
Worse than Fallout?
I think, I don't know, though. I mean, I'm not, if a Tomb Raider's good, it could really hit.
Yeah, I mean, Phoebe
There's-
Waller-Bridge is...
Yeah.
I keep wanting to say Phoebe Waller-Bridgers.
Yeah.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge her working on it, I think bodes well. You know, it being Amazon, and Tomb Raider, I think objectively is just a bigger known IP than Fallout.
That's the
I know
thing,
we're getting
though.
there with Fallout, where Fallout's becoming bigger and bigger.
I
And
feel like
Tomb
this
Raider's
is one
also
of
had a
those-
lot of like.
That's the thing.
stuff.
Yeah, I think Tomb Raider has definitely more mainstream kind of mind share in terms of like property, and like more people know that Lara Croft than they do, I think, specific elements of Fallout.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of cultural relevancy and people actually like putting butts in seats, I think Fallout has more power at this point.
Yeah.
But that's no dig at Tomb Raider. It's Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
So people show up for that stuff. But I mean, hey, they also put out a movie that didn't do that well. And it was fine. You know, the Alicia Vikander one.
How long ago was that? I feel like a Tomb Raider movie wasn't that long.
18,
Yeah, that
17,
feels about right.
Something like that.
I really hope
And
that
then
this
the
is
sequel
a
got canned.
breakout for it. Because yeah, with all the Tomb Raider movies and stuff that have come out, I've never been interested. And like, I think Tomb Raider has the ability to be something that is more exciting, right? It had like the games are dope, but then also I think the games have had the same thing where there were a lot of Tomb Raider games. I think from like 2000 to 2010, that was just like, all right, cool, it's another Tomb Raider game. And it wasn't until the like reboot where it was like, oh snap, like y'all are cooking now with Tomb Raider, and then we get Rise after that. It's like, oh snap, y'all are really cooking.
Yeah, but here's a problem with this, and like this is simplifying it just a little bit. But as these big games kind of just become like playable movies, and we've seen this with a lot of things like Uncharted and Last of Us, Naughty Dog's very good at this, and it can work very well. And games like the Tomb Raider reboots, great, right? All of them, but the movie adaptation, then it's just kind of like, oh, this is just a kind of generic action movie, as opposed to something special.
Yeah.
And that's why you look at something like Last of Us and it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like, oh man, the movie or the show's just like the game or whatever. It's like, well, yeah, it's a good story. And there's like a lot that you could do there to like make this actually special. Whereas the Tomb Raider most recent movie felt so much just like, oh yeah, when you're playing this, it's a lot of fun. When you're watching it, it's just kind of an okay B action
I'm watching
movie.
like something trying to be Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Essentially. Yeah, I totally feel that. I hope there hasn't been a Tomb Raider TV show though, right? This is the first time we're getting a TV.
Yeah.
I would think that maybe that could work better as a medium for it.
Potentially, yeah. Like there's like, I mean, there's also the interesting thing of Amazon publishing the next Tomb Raider game, right?
Yeah.
So a little synergy there.
They have like vested, like, hey, we want this to do good.
I wonder, like, we've now seen this time and time again of, hey, CD Projekt Red puts out Witcher on TV, the Witcher sales go up. Cyberpunk, the anime, Edgerunners comes out, sales go up.
Yeah.
Mario, sales go up. Last of Us, sales go up. Is this going to be the first time that they actually try to strategically time a game release with the show release, with Amazon being related to both? We'll have to wait and see.
I'm scared about that.
Yeah?
Because that means that one of them is going to get rushed. That means it's going to be hey, we need the show to hit in this year or we need this, more likely I think the game, because games just take longer to develop. We need the game to hit in this year because we got the Tomb Raider TV show happening. And I think if you try to time them out and you put pressure on doing that, I think one of those things ain't going to be like the other. I think one of those things is going to suffer.
Yeah.
I don't know which it will be, but I'm curious. I'm fascinated. I'm excited.
Totally.
Story number 4. Former Marvel's Midnight Suns and XCOM designer Jake Solomon announces a new studio. This is Marcus Stewart at Game Informer. Jake Solomon, former longtime Firaxis designer and director who spearheaded Marvel's Midnight Suns and was a lead designer on XCOM Enemy Unknown, has announced he's forming a new company following his departure from Firaxis last February. Midsummer Studios is a team consisting of veteran Firaxis and Maxis designers. Midsummer was founded by Solomon, who serves as CEO and creative director, game director Will Miller, also formerly of Firaxis, and COO/CFO Nelsie Birch, a newcomer to games with a 25-year career in financial and operations management. They're joined by executive producer Grant Rodiak and an 18-year veteran of Maxis Studios and former producer/director on several entries of The Sims. I don't know what's going on with my eyesight today. In addition to them, the small team currently consists of 6 other designers. The company's debut game will be a next-gen life sim that, according to a press release, quote, emphasizes player-driven narratives, allowing communities to share memorable moments that grow out of the creativity of players themselves. The best stories in games are written by the players, said Solomon in the press release. At Midsummer, we're making a life sim focused on the drama of modern life, where our players will write meaningful stories just by playing, and then share those stories with the world, end quote. Midsummer has secured a $6 million investment with several partners and is focused on growing sustainable studio that values the health and happiness of its employees. Every single time I said Midsummer, I kept thinking of the movie.
Of course.
It's weird to like say it as not the movie.
Yeah, it's a little scary to be calling yourselves that. This is good news. You got to hope for it. You got to root for it, and we'll see where this goes. But we've seen this happen many times in recent years, and I feel like often to disastrous results. But I don't feel like that pessimism should be the way we talk about these stories. I feel like we should look at this and want them to succeed and hope that all the story number one that we just talked about, of the back and forth of like, what do games need to change and how big can they be, whatever. This is how we could potentially get to the future where games at the correct balance level can happen.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to get there though.
I don't know why this one gives me better vibes than like a lot of the ones that we read. I think the fact that you have like Jake Solomon is a name I've heard before, and I believe I might have talked to Jake Solomon at the Disney Marvel thing. But like, you know, you have Jake Solomon coming from Firaxis. You have much of the Firaxis team coming over to work on the studio, and then like you have the funding, right? Like they have $6 million, and then another article they like went into like where exactly the funding is coming from, and it's like, all right, cool. Like you guys have secured that, which has been a big challenge for a lot of companies in the last couple of years in video games, as money has been shortening up, even though there's seems like the revenue's up anyway. You know, them getting the investment, and then also them being like, hey, and we know what we want to make. We want to make a live sim, and we want to just like, you know, try and make something that is The Sims, but pushing that forward. It's like, okay, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. People love The Sims. Let's see if you're able to make something like that that's able to stand unique and special.
Yep.
And so, go get them. Midsummer. But Tim, that's a big risk.
It is a big risk.
Believe and make a new studio.
So big.
But if I wanted something smaller, say the tiniest news I needed to know about, where would I go?
You'd go to our last story, the Wii News channel, where we cover all the small news items that you need to know about.
That's right. It's time for story number 5, Wii News. Starting with one from IGN, Shin Megami Tensei 5 will be removed from the Nintendo eShop on June 13th, ahead of the release of the expanded edition Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance.
Yeah, interesting. It seems like something people are going to be upset about.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the Vengeance is like an Ultimate Edition, right? It's like a complete or Game of the Year edition.
What's the
type
price
thing.
of the first one? What's the price of the second? You know
That's
what
a
I
good
mean?
question, Tim.
You know
I
what
didn't
I
think
mean?
about that aspect. Yeah, you might be right about that. We got one from Matt Piscatella. Demand for PlayStation Portal has exceeded supply for several months now, with the device doing better than expected. This surprises me. Because I'm like, who out here, aside from Greg Miller, has great use for PlayStation Portal?
I mean, I've been playing PlayStation Portal too. Now that I have the Steam Deck OLED, I definitely prefer that.
Yeah.
But Portal is great for what it is, and I feel like it has some things that it does better than anything else I've used for remote play, and it's mainly that the controller's fantastic, and you get all of the bells and whistles of it.
Would you have paid... What was it, $200?
I did.
Oh, I didn't realize you bought one. Oh,
I
never
bought
mind.
this. Yeah,
I take it back. I take it back.
Yeah, no, I bought this shit. So I love it, and I'm not too surprised because I've seen a lot of people that aren't Greg on Twitter talking about it, and I've seen more than that, people saying that they can't get one and how sold out it's been at a bunch of the different stores. So
there you go. What's up, Andy? How's it going?
Why don't you try this Mountain Dew?
Oh, wait, what's the flavor? Is it code red? Oh, it's Baja Point Break Punch. Yeah, pour that
Baja
for me.
Point Break Punch. They know how to name them. Square
More.
Enix, you should hire the Mountain Dew people.
Oh, wait, I gotta take a sip of this. Hold on. I just like the sound of it.
That was a great dig at them. That's Square Enix, Tim. Good
Thank
job.
you. Thank you.
It's really good.
You just turned Bless into a freaking 4-year-old. It's really good.
Hold on.
Oh, he's going back for more, everybody. He's doing the do today.
Oh, that's really good. Oh, man. Holy. Is this
Oh,
going to be
that's-
forever? Oh, man. Shout out to my guy, David.
Shout out to David,
Shout out to David
dude.
and Charlie. Dead by Daylight. Cross Dungeons & Dragons launches June 3rd. Dead by Daylight Cross Castlevania has been teased.
Cool.
Yeah,
Dead by Daylight, man.
Kev's playing the video if you're
Wow.
watching the video version, and
Incredible.
the tease looks really cool. I might have to download Dead by Daylight. Give it a spin.
Damn, this is sick.
Game Pass games have been announced today. You're getting Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. Then on the 15th of May, you're getting Chains of Sinar. On the 16th, Immortals Vavium. On the 21st, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2.
Yeah.
That's less than a week away. No, that is exactly a week away.
Yeah, Bless. It is. And it's coming to Game Pass. What the fuck is going on, dude?
Huh.
I'm so interested in this game. Please, God, be good. Please, God, be amazing.
That's fascinating.
It is. It really is.
The 23rd, you're getting Galacticare, and then also Haunty, which I saw. I watched the trailer for Haunty today. It looks really cool.
I played Haunty at Summer Game Fest last year. Yeah, and it's a delightful little indie game. Really excited about it. So yeah, I didn't realize coming to Game Pass.
Yeah,
keep your eyes on that one.
On the 28th is moving out too. On the 30th is Humanity, and Humanity is dope. If you've not played Humanity, it's another puzzle game from the same devs as like Rez and Tetris Effect, and it's really cool. It's like Lemmings. Yes. Is that the one where it's like you're creating a path for people to go through? It's like Lemmings on crack. And then Lords of the Fallen is the same day. And then on June 4th is Firework and Rolling Hills. Braid Anniversary Edition is out today on PC, PS4, PS5, Switch, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X. Biomutant is out today on Switch. And then also Co-op Dead by Daylight spinoff What the Fog is out now on Steam. And that's it.
That's it, everyone.
Tim?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to shout out a couple more super chats before we get out of here. Dean says, shout out to Midnight Suns. Just beat it earlier this week. I saw I think Cameron Hawkins tweeting about Midnight Suns. And I saw people quote tweeting him being like, yeah, Midnight Suns was dope. And I was like, fuck, am I going to go back and play Midnight Suns?
Oh, yeah, dude. Seems like Midnight Suns is one of those games that got that second life of everyone just being like, because when it first dropped, there was some performance issues. Yeah. There was a couple, and there was also
like
big
December,
games coming out. It was a weird time. And so, yeah, I feel like a lot of people kind of either wrote it off or just were like, oh, I'd love to play it, but I just don't have the time. And I know some people played and just were like, hey, it's not for me. But yeah, it does seem like there's kind of like a almost, I don't want to say cult following for it, but
there's like people that are like, no, this is good.
The game's getting some backing now, which I
might go back because I don't even think I booted it up. And I don't know. I'm just in a Marvel. I think coming off of X-Men, like watching X-Men 97, I'm just like, man, Marvel is good. Like I do like some Marvel shit sometimes.
Yeah.
Optimus Prime says Millie Bobby Brown for Lara.
I can see it.
Yeah. I don't hate it. Oh, this is interesting. Zaxxon Galaxian says, friendly reminder that today is the last day to opt out of Discord's new forced arbitration via TOS nonsense. And you can do that in terms of service? I thought that was just like when you work at when you get hired at a new job and they don't want to like go to court. You can do that's crazy. You can put that in terms of service.
Yeah.
Look into that, everybody. Stay safe out there. Garrett. Oh, did I already do this one? I already did this one. All right, cool. I think we're looking good as far as super chats. I guess Nick Curry says, any thoughts on game developer unions? I think unions are great.
I mean, yeah, especially at this point when you look around and see what's going on. I said it earlier, and I'll say it again, Bless.
Mm-hmm.
Apes together strong.
Yep. I have a short list. I should show you this Google Notes on my phone. I know we're running late and we got to get to GameScast, but I have a list.
Going to be? What could this possibly be?
Hold on.
All right. Bless has a list of movies to watch. Mad Max movies, Planet of the Apes, Nolan movies. Bless, do I have the show for you?
The entire,
kind of funny in review.
I have a note that is movies to watch, and it's
just those
three things.
Yeah.
Mad Max franchise, Planet of the Apes, and that is the franchise, and I watch all of them. I mean, and the Nolan movies.
Bless, okay, look, like all of them amazing, in different ways. I will say though, the Planet of the Apes movies, like I think that they.
Should I start with those?
I think so, because there's one in theaters right now, and like it'd be fun to watch it in theaters if you can watch the other three. And I can't even imagine how hype it would be to watch one a night. Like what an amazing quadrilogy. I'm gonna go on record, and this isn't for anybody that's watched these movies, this isn't a crazy statement. But I think that this is easily the most underrated like major franchise that we have. Like it should just straight up doesn't miss, man. So good. Every single entry does something unique that's amazing. I think that the worst one is the first one, Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
And to say that if that's the worst, we're in a great place, because like that is easily like an 8 out of 10 at worst.
I just love like even opening it just now, the list. I'm like, this is the most normie list. Like it's not like any indie films are on there. It's not any A24 shit.
Have you ever seen Fifth Element?
No.
You should add that to your list.
Fifth Element?
Yeah, just add it to your list. I guarantee you it's going to be one of your favorite movies.
I really do feel like Cap at the beginning of Civil War right now.
Just trying to figure out culture.
Yeah. I'm like, excuse me, sorry. I'm like, I just got to watch Mad Max. CD Splits says Mr. and Mrs. Smith renewed new cast thought. I mean, it makes sense that they're doing a new cast for a season 2.
Dude, give us season 2 with a new cast, then season 3 where the new cast is hunting the last cast.
Oh, that'd be sick. Go watch Mr. and Mrs. Smith if you haven't, y'all. It's really good. And then one more from Eddie. Tim, as KF's platforming Poppy, the Mario Master, the Sonic Sensei, the Donkey Kong King, have you played Sackboy's Adventure Nidden Night Final Trial?
Damn, with that intro, I really wish I could confidently say yes, I did. No, I did not. I played through the majority of that game, but I didn't
You didn't vibe with you
it.
strongly,
No,
right?
yeah. It was such a bad time for that game to come out because I had Miles Morales that I was playing, and then also Astro's
Astrobot.
Playroom, which I freaking fell in love with. And around there, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury came out. So like, I feel like that type of game was done so much better with Bowser's Fury. So it was a little hard for me, but I don't know, maybe I'll go back one day, but probably not.
Now it's time for kindoffunny.com/you're wrong, where you write in and let us know what we got wrong as we got it wrong, so we can correct it for those watching later on YouTube and listening later on podcast services around the globe. Multiple people wrote in and said the PlayStation Studios has been shown on Xbox in MLB The Show. I didn't think about that. That's a good call.
Yeah.
I'll still say a game outside of MLB The Show. I think in the next, 2 years? The next 2 years, we'll see the PlayStation Studios logo appearing.
Radic writes in and says, Tim, it wasn't us who put The Witcher on TV. It was Netflix. As for Edge Runners, the Cyberpunk anime, it was indeed us.
There you go.
Well, shout out to CD Projekt Red just getting the wins anyway, even when they don't do shit. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right?
Like, we don't need to put Witcher on. They'll do it, and our sales go up. Hell yeah.
And then one important one from Dirty Daddy. I didn't like saying your name, first of all. They say Cap at the beginning of Winter Soldier, not Civil War. Good call. Yeah. God, I need to rewatch Winter Soldier sometime.
I was thinking that a couple days ago, too. What a film.
Do you think it holds up?
Yeah, 100%.
I've not seen it in a very long time.
Oh, my. Winter Soldier holds up, I bet, way better than you even think it does.
And when I think of that movie, all I think about, oh no, was this Civil War? No, it was Winter Soldier, of him fighting Bucky, spoilers, and like there was like a knife toss kind of thing in the choreography. I think about that every single time and how sick that was.
Oh, yeah, man.
Good ass movie.
Good ass movie.
That's it for You're Wrong. Of course, this has been Kind of Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday, we run you through the nerdy news you need to know about live on YouTube, Twitch, and on podcast services around the globe. If you love what we do, support us with the Kind of Funny membership on Patreon or YouTube to get all of our shows ad-free, watch us record them live, and get a daily exclusive show. Enjoy the GameScast next, where we react to Greg's hot takes in the stream after, where we play some Pokemon Nuzlocke. But until next time, Game Daily.